From the TV30 studio, here's Jim Schneider.
Well, good evening and welcome to inFocus. We're so glad you've joined us for our broadcast tonight as we focus in on the issues that are taking place right here in our community. We do want to introduce you tonight. No doubt you're already familiar. You've heard about the Milwaukee Rescue Mission that's been effectively ministering in Milwaukee for well over 100 years. And they are engaged in really helping turn people's lives around through the power of the gospel. It is done as individuals who are following a pathway of destruction and despair in life to giving one a pathway of hope and really meaningful purpose in life. And that's what we find happening over and over again through the work and ministry of the Milwaukee Rescue Mission. And so they've had a very effective program that has been ministering, and they're needing to expand that program. And as a result of that expansion, been running into some opposition, which we'll be talking about here this evening, but it is not a program of doom and gloom, and we're going to certainly tell you about what is happening at the mission, and also some of the obstacles that are happening right now. But there's a great door of opportunity for ministry here on the part of the mission. Joining us in studio, Patrick Vanderberg, who is the president of Milwaukee Rescue Mission. And Pat, nice to have you with us.
Jim, thanks for having us.
So for those that are, they know that there is a Milwaukee Rescue Mission, but not more than that. You're not the new kid on the block, having been around since 1893. So just give us a glimpse into some of that history of Milwaukee Rescue Mission.
Sure. So we were birthed in a citywide revival campaign back in 1893, and some of the local Christian leaders got together, really felt a need to help men, even in 1893, men struggling with addiction, alcohol particularly, many of them veterans, and in 1893 they were veterans of the American Civil War. Wow. So that's how we started, and since the beginning, I appreciated how you characterized it in your introduction. Since the beginning, gospel life transformation, I mean, that's been really the core of what we do. So we have several different programs that we're running. Safe Harbor is all of our men's programs, so that includes emergency shelter for single men who are experiencing homelessness, New Journey,
and some people think that's just a winter problem.
Right. Yeah. No. We 365 days a year. We're serving men who are on the streets. And then New Journey, we're going to talk a lot about that tonight.
Right.
That's been a really effective Christian addiction recovery program that we have for men that we've operated really for decades and have had great success with. Joy House is all of our programs for women and mothers with children. Again, very much like Safe Harbor, serving those who are experiencing homelessness, but then also women that just really need a place to put their lives back together. And then Cross Trainers Academy, which is our Christian school, K4 through 12th grade, and we have about 500 students in that school. So that's in a nutshell what we're doing at Milwaukee Rescue Mission.
On your website, I saw these words: "Hope starts with a meal."
Yeah.
Comment on that.
Yeah. And that's been our experience, over the years. In fact, a lot of people, that's how they know us. They know, like, around the holidays, around Easter time, and then especially Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Sure.
Give us whatever the amount is. It changes, but to help serve a meal, and so many people really generously respond to that, and truly that has been our experience. People come in, they're hungry, they need a meal, and we're able to meet that immediate need and then go from there and address some of the other needs that there's.
Help our viewers understand, how many meals are you serving in a given month or on a year annual basis?
So I know it's 300,000 meals in a year.
Okay.
So whatever the math turns out to be, but I think we're averaging probably around 700 or 800 meals a day. So we're serving a lot of meals to hungry people, and the thrill is then to see men and women, once they're fed, very often the doors open for us to begin to address some of the other really life-controlling needs that they have.
And then about lodging, how many beds are you providing?
So we're serving on average in all of our shelters and programs about 250 to 300 in shelter or in one of our programs each night on average. So that's every night of the year. And of course, sometimes there's some seasonal stress on that, but that's about how many people we're serving in shelter.
And are there requirements for people to use your program?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, everybody that even in our shelter programs, we do background checks. They have to have ID. We'll help them get it if they need it. And then when they come in the door for shelter, what we really try to do though too is really try to help them find out what they need to address some of the deeper problems that they're facing, give them a pathway to getting out of the shelter, returning
so
back.
You understand that the real need is not just a meal,
right.
Not just a bed.
Right,
it
absolutely.
goes deeper than that.
Right, that's a means to an end. And the end is a changed life.
Right.
And that's what we want to see happen, and we do get to see it happen over and over.
You also mentioned education is one of the best ways to lift people out of poverty.
Yep.
You mentioned the cross trainer. Is that your primary method of education?
Yeah, well, in all of our programs for men men and women that are on our residential programs, we have an emphasis on education, basic adult education, job readiness, those kinds of things. So we've got really kind of state-of-the-art education programs, both for men and women on our central campus on 19th and Wells Street. And then Cross Trainers Academy, our school on 15th and Center, and not only a solid education, but a solid Christian education. We're just really passionate about just really also helping students come to know Jesus as Savior, understand what God has as a calling for them, help them understand what God's Word teaches, how they're going to live their lives.
Many also wonder, or they make assumptions on the funding for Milwaukee Rescue Mission, wondering how much is the government paying for your ministry to continue?
Yeah, and people are generally surprised when we tell them, we don't, especially for our shelter and residential programs, we don't take any kind of public money, any kind of government funding. We are part of the choice program for our schools, so we do get vouchers for students that are in our school, but that doesn't pay for, that only pays for part of the cost of education. One of the things, though, that we've really been very deliberate about in terms of funding is really getting out of any kind of federal funding stream. And the reason for that is we recognize that federal funding can too often be a threat to your Christian mission. So we've just really stayed away from that deliberately in every way. So the vast majority of all that Milwaukee Rescue Mission does is funded through private donations.
Well, friends, and many of you, no doubt, have been involved in supporting the work of Milwaukee Rescue Mission. But were you aware that government funding is not caring for the meals and the housing, the beds, and so forth for those who utilize their services? We're talking with Pat Vanderberg tonight here, who is the president of Milwaukee Rescue Mission. And Pat, before we get now into New Journey, why is it that people end up homeless? What are some of those main causes that people end up coming and say, we need your services? There's
a variety of reasons why people are experiencing homelessness. Addiction, drug or alcohol abuse, that's huge. That's huge. And then chronic mental illness, and we also address that. We've got a counseling center at the mission with trained counselors working with men and women who are struggling in those areas. For women, and especially the families that we're serving, I think the causes tend to be a little bit more complex. Domestic violence is an issue. Sometimes, families just a single mom, and she gets evicted for one reason or another from her apartment. Those kinds of things. People don't have community. And so we really try to build that as well in the context of Christian ministry and the Christian church. But I would say the chief drivers for people experiencing homelessness are addictions, mental illness, and very often sometimes people are experiencing both.
And that really leads us into the core reason for this interview tonight, is talking about the New Journey program that you have at Milwaukee Rescue Mission, which you deal with these very aspects. But introduce our viewers to what New Journey is.
Yeah, one of the things that we've just been, that really animates us at the mission is, of course, we love having the opportunity to serve people in need in the name of Jesus and share the gospel with people that are struggling. Where we've really seen profound, just exciting life transformation is in our New Journey program. And we've had this program for decades. We've been serving men, and the women have their counterpart to it as well. But it's a residential program where we do a lot of work over a 6-month period of time with, speaking of New Journey particularly, with men struggling with addiction. It's done from a gospel point of view. I mean, we're anxious for them to hear and understand the gospel and turn in faith to Jesus. We believe that the remarkable transformation that takes place happens when somebody is, born again, and when they are indwelt with the Holy Spirit, then real life change happens. And so over the years, we've been just delighted. A lot of your viewers, I'm sure, get our newsletter. And every time we produce the newsletter, we're telling a story. And very often it's a story of one of these guys. So they're involved in just a complex of opportunities to understand addiction. We do a lot of teaching around what addiction is. We do a lot of Christian instruction, Bible and Christian kind of doctrine and theology, so that they understand the Christian faith.
And to realize that the answers for what they're going through is not going to come from some inward strength that they have. Right,
exactly. And that this is where life transformation really happens, is as God transforms their lives. Basic adult education, Christian counseling, and then the community. They become a community. The guys on our New Journey program, and it's just really lovely to see how they begin to form these deep, lifelong friendships and hold one another accountable, and are able to overcome addiction and turn their lives around.
Now, not just anybody is allowed into this program.
No.
You have a screening process, and it's not haphazard. You're very intentional. What kind of screening do you go through?
Yeah, it's a voluntary program, so they're going to volunteer for it. We want the guys who come to us, we want them to know that this is available. And actually, our new campus, we want to make it a resource even more broadly than just Milwaukee. But when they when they express an interest in it, then we've got a vetting process. We do a background check immediately, so we know if there's any issues that need to be attended to. We'll take care of them right away, and or if they're an individual that's not going to fit on the program for one reason or another, we'll know that right away. And then we want, over a 4-week period, we want to also make sure that there's strong motivation on their part. I mean, we're only half of the equation, and so we want to make sure that they're truly committed to this. And because we vet so much, we've had really high percentage of guys completing the program. And we know if they'll complete the program, long-term success, long-term sobriety is they've got a really great shot at that.
You also oversee kind of like health and medical for them as well?
Yeah. So we're connected. We're very aware of whatever they need, and then we're connecting them with those resources. And of course, our staff, they know all the resources for that we might not be able to provide in-house, but we're able to provide most of it right in our programs.
Okay, so we see a lot of alcohol-related issues, a lot of drug-related issues, and it's not just impacting, this is impacting our city as a whole. It's impacting our state, society, and when you look at some of the numbers, it's rather staggering to see how many homes are impacted by drugs and alcohol.
And Wisconsin, unfortunately, we're probably one of the states that has the highest incident. In fact, my wife was just sharing with me a report of the 50 counties that have the highest rates of self-reported rates of drug or alcohol abuse. Wisconsin has 37 of them or something like that. So it's a problem, and it's a problem that isn't in a certain geography. It's not in a certain demographic group. It's really everyone, and people know that. People just know in their own families and circles there are people who are struggling with addiction.
And that's not just the city of Milwaukee.
Right.
And so you are actually assisting people that are coming from outside Milwaukee that come in, but you're needing more room. You need a facility that will facilitate what it is that you're doing, and that really brings us to New Berlin, Wisconsin here, and we're going to have you comment. We're just going to do an aerial view here of a diagram here of the site vicinity map, and you can see this is a location. Identify where this is in particular.
So if people are familiar, it's just south of Interstate 43 and just west of Moreland Road in New Berlin. And so it's kind of tucked away. It's in a business park. And when we became aware of the property, my wife and I, we drove onto it, and I still remember we both just like, oh, this is, I think this is exactly what we're looking for. We wanted a property that was regionally accessible. Over the last 10 or so years, we've had more and more men, kind of word of mouth. They're learning about our program. And very often it would be like a pastor in their church would call us up and, hey, we've got a family in the church and their son is struggling. We know you've got this program. Could he join it? And of course the answer was always, absolutely. We would love to be able to help him. And we just realized that, like you were just saying, Jim, the problem transcends any geography. It's everywhere. And that there are so many people, both in the city and outside of the city, who struggle and really need help, and there aren't a lot of resources. And then in terms of Christian type of residential programs that are intense, that are long-term, that are successful, there aren't a lot. There are even fewer of those. So our program at our central campus is full, and so we thought we felt like prayerfully, God leading us to, let's make this more of a regional, even statewide resource. Let's locate it in a place that would be pretty accessible for people to get to.
And this is accessible. You can see close to I-43. And one thing I'm not seeing on this map, though, I'm not seeing lots of houses around this.
Right, and that was another thing that we, when we were siting it, we knew that this type of site would be really ideal. It's in a business park. There aren't houses close by. In fact, the closest house to us, I think, is probably about a half a mile away. So it is, and people are familiar with the exit. It's commercial. It's entertainment. So hotels, and it's that kind of an exit off the interstate. And then where it actually is in this business park. So just business neighbors, and we know we're just going to be able to blend in.
Great. And let's look at the facility itself, too, some of that renderings, because we'll talk about the controversy here, but this is a beautiful looking building that is planned for the area.
Yeah, in New Berlin, the application process is pretty rigorous. They are concerned, rightfully, with the aesthetics of the building, and then, of course, its operation. And we were too. I mean, we wanted to have a really welcoming, beautiful building that would be a great home for men while they're on our program. And I should probably also mention, Jim, so I mentioned earlier on, it's a 6-month program, but then there's also a 6-month transitional phase to the program. So guys could be there for a whole year. On the transitional phase, after they've completed the 6-month program, then we give them the opportunity to, go out and work. And another reason why we really like the location, a lot of potential employers in the area where we can, create some great partnerships and be able to provide some great employees. And then our 6-month transitional program where we can really help the guys make the transition back into the community.
Pat Vanderberg with us here tonight on inFocus, and talking about this property that's become available, and we're going to get into some of the nuts and bolts of this. But something else about this property, it's kind of set back some. It's not right there on the street.
No, I think once it's built, it's going to be pretty incognito. You're not going to know it's there unless you're looking for us. And that's exactly what we were hoping for, that we would have a place that would truly be a refuge. It would blend in to the surroundings, but it would be easily accessible to people who need it. And then also just a great refuge for the guys who are on our program.
About how many men would this serve?
So we will be able to serve up to 120 men. Right now we have our program, as I mentioned, is full. We have about 40 guys on all phases of our program now. When this is built, we have a 5-year plan that we've come up with, and we will kind of grow into it because we want to do it real deliberately. We have a professional staff 24/7, and we would be able to, serve our core population and then expand it, in a real deliberate way over 5 years. And so we're hoping by the time we get to year 5, then we'll be able to, fill it up with 100+ men who really could use this resource.
But it would be your plan to always staff this 24/7 as well.
Yeah, and it's staff intense. I mean, you're working with guys who need a lot of one-on-one with advocates in classes and those kinds of things. So, and then also we want to make sure that we're holding all the guys accountable, and we've got staff 24/7 so that we know where everybody is.
Okay, so we're going to look again at this plot of land, and you went there, you visited the site, and you said, wow, this is an ideal site for this to take place there. And tell us the process, what you went through. You actually have an agreement for the land itself with the seller of the land.
Yeah, so we connected with the city, met with city staff, staff. Probably, the same kind of process that anybody who's developing an institutional property or commercial property is going to go through. And like I mentioned, the process with New Berlin was rigorous in the best sense. They wanted to know exactly what it's going to look like, where it's going to be, and what the plan of operation was for it. So it took several months for us to get everything ready to make the application with the city, of course, back and forth with the city too.
And this was last year, 2025?
Yeah, it was in the summer, and going into the fall. Submittal date, I think, was in October, and then the city had a well thought out process for approving the project, and we went through that process with them, including review by an architectural committee looking for the aesthetics, where's it going to sit on the property, and traffic and environmental, all of those types of things, and then the plan commission that's thinking about and looking at okay, what's the operation going to be, and are there going to be any impacts in the community, and I think we were able to go through the process well and satisfy everybody. And we were glad in December we got unanimous approval both from the Architectural Review Board and then the City Plan Commission.
And then what?
yeah. And then what happened was the Biz Times did a story. It's all posted online. It's all public record, and all the meetings with the city were public record. And so Biz Times, got the rendering, got the project. Evidently thought it was an interesting project. We agree. And they wrote a story, and it was it was an accurate story. It's based on everything that we're filing with the city, and then some of the people in the community, when they read the story, they became anxious about us moving there. We think that probably a lot of it had to do with not a full understanding of what we're doing, even what it was going to look like, and then the population we were serving.
Yeah, there are those who believe that you're just expanding your homeless outreach from downtown Milwaukee to this location in Berlin.
And there would really be no reason that we would ever do that. The population of men and women and families that are experiencing homelessness are, probably the vast majority of them are in the city of Milwaukee, and so our central campus is really ideal place. By the way, the central campus is right off of Marquette University's campus. It hasn't been a problem. We've had a great relationship with Marquette.
You've been good neighbors.
Yeah, we've been good neighbors, and we are careful about how we operate. We really do require those that are using our services or on our programs. We want them to act appropriately, so we do everything we can to be good neighbors. But we do have shelters. We do have shelters that are serving men, women, and families who are experiencing homelessness. Those shelters would never leave Milwaukee. They would be there. The program that we wanted to bring to New Berlin is our New Journey program, which has been a fabulous program, and we know is going to be a great resource for the community.
So you took it, the Planning Commission, and they approved it. The Common Council approved it too? So
the Common Council didn't have, because we were accepted use in this business park.
It didn't need to go before them then?
Didn't need to go before the Common Council, so we didn't have to get approval from them, like any of the other institutions or businesses in the business park. But we had to, pass muster with the city staff and with the Plan Commission.
Okay, and that approval was granted?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And so when did opposition to this come about?
So when the news story broke in the Biz Journal, Biz Times. At the end of December, right before the end of the calendar year, right before January, then I think then all of a sudden now a lot more people were aware, and like you mentioned, I think that the biggest reaction was Milwaukee Rescue Mission. I think a lot of people, if they know something about us, they know, well, we're serving homeless people. Frankly, I don't think a lot of people, until this happened, I don't think a lot of people knew how long we've had this, really effective residential addiction recovery program.
About how many years?
And well, it predates me, so I've been around for 40 years, and so it was there well before I was. So we've had, in one iteration or another, we've had this residential program for men and have just a long track record of, some really thrilling success that we've had with men, and now more recently with women.
Right. Okay, so there are people from the community, they contacted the city then?
Yeah, so then they appealed the Plan Commission approval, and so we're kind of going through a process now to see whether or not the Board of Appeals for the City of New Berlin will review what the Plan Commission already approved.
Okay, and in the meantime, because there's been opposition, you said we've got the right, we meet all the qualifications for this, and yet there seems to be a stalling then of that.
Right.
And I've got a copy of some legal action that's been filed. This is brought against the City of New Berlin and here in Waukesha County.
Yeah, so we, our legal counsel, just kind of seeing how the city wasn't just letting us move forward with this. We just felt like probably the best thing for us to do is to bring a petition to Waukesha Circuit Court and have a judge kind of just review what the process has been with the city and just require the city to grant the zoning approval and let us move forward with the project.
Right, it's not like you're looking for special favors.
No, we're just defending the rights that any property owner would have to develop the property.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is pending right now for a judge's action?
Yes, and we're not exactly sure when that's gonna happen, but we're confident we'll get through this. We think it's unfortunate, that we're being delayed by having to go through this, but we're not the first, of course, either. Other projects get scrutinized a little bit more and have to go through and or file legal action to really be able to develop properties that they own.
Pat Vanderberg with us tonight here on inFocus and talking about the new Journeys program, a new facility that is planned for New Berlin, beautiful looking facility set off the road in an area that's very accessible for those who use the services. And again, keep in mind that there's a good percentage that are not directly from the city of Milwaukee that are coming from outside across the state and to participate in a program that's been life-changing for many people. And there's been some local opposition. I'm going to raise some of the objections people have raised and have you respond. But this is an opportunity for you to hear about not only the work of the Milwaukee Rescue Mission, but what is planned to help get men back on track in life. Men who they have the inner desire, but sometimes not. How do I do this? How can I get through this? And coming alongside with scripture and mentorship is that which will help guide individuals through that process. And so, some said, they're just going to take their homeless program, put it here in New Berlin. That's not the case. We already talked about that. Some have also raised the concern that, hey, this is going to impact local traffic. Tell us about that.
Well, part of the application process was a traffic study that we had to do for the city. The original owners the owners of the property were originally going to build a hotel, and the traffic study demonstrates, actually the traffic for our use is going to be less than for a hotel.
public transportation? That's been another issue that came up here.
That's always been curious to us. The men that are on the New Journey program, more often than not, they're brought to us, family member, somebody else is bringing them to us. Public transportation, people have asked me about that too, that, well, there's no public transportation, so how can this work? Well, we've never thought we had any kind of need for public transportation because, this is going to be a regional resource. And so guys who are going to be coming to join our program are going to be able to have the ability to get to us.
Friends, we're going to talk about some more of the issues that have come up concerning this, as well as some points of contact that you can have as well to learn more about this project. But tonight, we also like to open our phone lines as we talk with Pat Vanderberg this evening. If you have a question you would like to ask or a brief comment, our telephone number here for inFocus is 414-935-3030. That's 414-935-3030. Perhaps you've heard rumors out there or something that you just want to have addressed and have Pat answer firsthand. He is the president of Milwaukee Rescue Mission and would love to respond to those issues. 414-935-3030 or 1-800-733-8830. If you'd like to text in your question tonight, you may also do that. Just include your first name and city you're texting from and send it to the text number, which is 414-459-9638. 459-9638. Again, that's area code 414. And feel free to text in your question or brief comment, and we'll be glad to address that as well this evening. But even as we talk, the lines are open right now. You're welcome to participate in the program. Maybe you're one watching right now. You've been helped through the work of the Milwaukee Rescue Mission. Maybe you're one who has gone through the New Journeys program and can attest to that as well. Certainly the lines are open for you here this evening. Pat, some of the other concerns that have come up and through some of the online chat as well as before people have contacted aldermen or city planning workers, etc. They've been concerned about the demand on emergency services. And police and fire, some have said they've expressed law enforcement resources are needed to maintain safety in around this facility, and it's going to be more than what the city of New Berlin can handle.
So the city asked that too early on, and so one of the things we in our discussions with the city and filings, they wondered about that, like what kind of emergency services are typically required. So for our New Journey, so we look back, we've got records, and we're able to discover that I think in a year, the most recent year, it was about 8 emergency calls, so less than once a month, which didn't necessarily surprise us. This group tends to be healthy and pretty stable. I mean, they are dealing with an addiction, but other than that, I mean, they're not requiring emergency services. And the 8 calls, I think there was 1 for the police and 7 were for like EMTs, so it was a medical emergency. But where there's been confusion, people are looking at our central campus on 19th and Wells Street, and there are a lot more calls there. But working with the police and kind of reviewing all the statistics, 3/4 of the calls for our main campus are for our Joy House. So that's women and single mothers with children, and the vast majority of those are medical emergencies. So people are looking at that and, this is what's coming to New Berlin. Not at all. We will have a negligible impact on any kind of emergency services. In addition to that, Jim, when we were working with the city, even though because we're a Christian church ministry, we're tax exempt, exempt from property taxes, and the city, thinking about any kind of impact on the city, asked if we would be open to a pilot, a payment in lieu of tax. And we said, yes, absolutely, we would be willing to agree to that with the city, because we don't want to be a burden for the city. And instead of being a burden, we're going to be an asset, to the city and the broader community. We're not the problem; we are the solution.
And some have complained that you're a tax-exempt organization, and therefore you're not going to be paying into New Berlin in that regard. But we also have to consider what you are saving taxpayers as well. I mean, when every life that's turned around, that's not dependent upon social services of the community, that has a huge impact.
Right. I think that's the rationale for tax exemption. That institutions are providing a resource to the community, and so they're exempt from taxes because they're a net benefit to the community. We're confident that that's what we are. That we're going to be a great resource for New Berlin and the surrounding area, metropolitan Milwaukee, and this region of the state. But we don't want to be a net cost to the city, and so that's why we've even before we went before the Plan Commission, we had already agreed that yes, we were willing to come up with a good, fair payment in lieu of tax to pay for any costs that we might have to New Berlin.
Namely that of emergency services.
Right, exactly, Any of those city services that we might end up consuming. So we want to be very clearly a net benefit to the community.
There is a group, New Berlin Neighbors United, that has formed in opposition to this. Has there been opportunity for you to meet with them, to talk with them?
Yeah, when the story first came out in late December, I got a handful of calls. I was always glad to, because I realized, people would have legitimate questions about, what exactly is this?
Right.
And so there are probably about 4 or 5. To my knowledge, I have not. I don't know all the people that are associated with this group, but to my knowledge, I have not had any kind of direct communication to them. I would have been glad to. When the story first came out, and even before the story came out, as we were moving ahead, we were making preliminary plans. We definitely wanted to do some outreach in the community as our project came along, introducing ourselves and the resource that we're going to be, and make sure that we are good neighbors to those around us and to our host city of New Berlin.
Right, and no doubt you're going to be using some contractors that are going to benefit the local communities as well. Yeah. So, friends, again, our phone number here tonight, your questions that you have or brief comment, 414-935-3030 or 1-800-733-8830. It's our phone numbers, or if you'd like to text, you can do so on the text line 414-459-9638. And we'd love to hear from you this evening as well. A question that you may have, just put in your first name, the city that you're texting from, and we'll seek to address if there are additional concerns that we have not raised that you would like to have addressed by Pat. He's here to take your questions, field your comments as well, and to talk about this very matter. Where do things stand ultimately right now with this? What's the next step?
Yeah, so there is a meeting with the Board of Appeals for the City of New Berlin this week on the 16th. We're hopeful. We think we've got a good case to bring to them that they shouldn't proceed anymore with the appeal. We feel like we've satisfied everything that we need to for the City of New Berlin. So that's probably the most immediate next step. And, if we succeed there, and we would love for the viewers to be praying that, God continues to keep the door open so that we're able to begin working on this campus that, again, we just know is going to be a blessing to so many men and their families, that we could potentially, this week, we could be kind of going on from this and starting to really develop the facility that'll be New Journey.
Great. And friends of the mission that live in New Berlin reaching out to their elected officials is a
absolutely.
good thing too.
Yeah, we have hundreds, actually. We're so grateful for them. Financial supporters, donors in New Berlin. We've heard from many of them, and just really encouraging, supportive of what we're doing. And so, yeah, those folks especially, we'd love for them, and we've got a way for them to connect with city officials just to share their support of what we're trying to do.
Sure. And friends, by the way, if you'd like to connect with Milwaukee Rescue Mission, we're talking about the project here, but there's a website you can go to, a phone number. We'll also provide you an email address, but Milwaukee Rescue Mission, their main address, 830 North 19th Street. That's Milwaukee 53233. Their website, millmission.org. millmission.org. Phone number is 414-344-2211. 344-2211. And you can even send an email to them, which is info@millmission.org. That's info@millmission.org, and they'll be responsive to your inquiry there as well. Tonight, lines are open if you would wish to communicate, comment, or question this evening here for our guests. That would the lines are open and available, whether you're in favor or in opposition and have a concern that you would like to raise here this evening on the broadcast. This plot of land that you're going on to has been vacant for some time, hasn't it?
Yeah, the original owners, they were going to build a hotel, and they were ready to build the hotel, and then the pandemic hit, and as they've explained to me, you know, the economics for hotels entirely changed. So since then, they've been just kind of thinking about what would be the next thing that they would do, and then you know, we connected on what our plans were for. Or our need to find a new home for our New Journey program, and so that's kind of how we connected on this property.
Now, you mentioned that the program predates your time at Milwaukee Rescue Mission.
Yeah.
There have been countless lives that have been helped through this.
Yeah. Well, in fact, Jim, my wife Barb and I, we were just kind of reminiscing when we were in college. We met in college, and Barb's dad was the superintendent, and you know my father-in-law, Gabe Varga. And when I came up one summer, I worked for him one summer, and I actually lived on the same floor with the guys that are on what we now call, you know, New Journey. So, yeah, so it predates me. You know, it was there, and it was a great experience. I mean, you know, these are really just interesting guys, great, compelling life stories. And men who, you know, God is working in their lives. You can see it. You know, you can tangibly see the transformation and change taking place, and it's just exciting to you know, to be part of that, and we look forward to just really multiplying it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so again, people enter the program, they want help. I mean, it's something that's not being forced upon them. They want to come, they want to be a part of this program. They know what that life of addiction has done to their life. It's devastated them. It's brought despair. It's been all kinds of difficult circumstances for life. But come with that desire that I want to change. I want something that's going to help me. And you come alongside with the Word of God, biblical counsel, mentors that will come alongside and assist them, and realize the pathway of on. I don't have to stay on that course. There's something new for me here.
Right, and it's a thrill to just hear the stories, to get to know these guys, to get to see God working in their lives, and now realizing how broad, how many families are affected by addiction and alcoholism, and how many people just really need a place that's going to help them and provide the place for them to be, to really address these issues that are just so life controlling for them, and now the opportunity to really broaden our tents, just really create more space for more men, and we know that there are just dozens and scores that just really need this help, and we're thrilled to imagine a day when we'll have one of the things I love to do, Jim. Once a month on a Friday, we have a graduation for our New Journey program, and it's a chapel service, and we'll have a pastor come and give a message to the guys, and the guys will get up and they'll give in just a couple minutes. They'll give just a testimony, and our whole staff just loves these Friday mornings. And as I'm imagining the future of New Journey, I'm looking forward to the day when at the chapel on our new campus, where we'll have these great graduation ceremonies, and maybe we'll have a dozen or more than a dozen guys graduating from the program, being reunited with their families, and just being thrilled, celebrating with them what God's done in their lives.
Amen. And friends, again, this is not solely a Milwaukee issue. I mean, this is something that is out. I know a church in Menominee Falls has an addictions program. A church in Pewaukee, an addictions program. I mean, it is out there, and here you provide a facility where they can come and really have that intense mentorship, the training, the imparting into their lives, to give them hope and direction, set a new course for life, get them engaged in their journey for life, and really making a difference. So it's not just a city of Milwaukee issue.
No,
it's out there
everywhere.
And friends, you can take part here in it tonight too. The phone number for inFocus, 414-935-3030, or toll free, you can reach us 800-733-8830. Taking your comments here this evening, and I believe we also had come in here just a bit ago. We'll get a text that came in, and let's see, we got a couple of them here. This one. This one individual calling in. They're not. This is JM from New Berlin. He said, "This is lies, a church telling lies. Shame on inFocus for not doing their homework on the facts." Well, we have done our homework, and we've known Milwaukee Rescue Mission for some very, very long time. But they're saying that there's some things left out. Friend, call in. What are those things that you're saying are being left out? Here's your chance to have them addressed, and we would encourage you to do that here this evening. But rather than take a pot shot, call in and address that, and we'll address the issue here.
Yeah, we're anxious to hear where people are, where there's gaps that people feel like they're not understanding the whole thing. If you're being accused of lying about something, you definitely want to kind of know, well, what exactly that is, because of course it's our aspiration to be truthful and straightforward and transparent, and we think that we have throughout the process.
And that's why we've gone through some of the comments that have been made on the city's website and addressed the issues that the people have been raising concerning this aspect, and to give opportunity for response to these issues that have been coming. I do want to mention as well the Milwaukee Rescue Mission located in Milwaukee. One of the things I checked too, Pat, earlier today was you've got some needs, always needs at the mission to help the hungry and homeless right here in Milwaukee, and we have available on the screen some of the number one urgent needs that the mission has at this time, and if we could go ahead and put some of those up on the screen. These are some needs that the mission has, and there's a donation drop-off site for their main distribution center at Kilbourne and 18th, Monday through Friday from 10 to 6, but these are items needed: the men's sweatpants and belts, boxer briefs, men's deodorant, shower shoes, the list goes on, women's undergarments, women's pajamas, all sizes. These are some items needed. Teen girls undergarments, the toddler girls clothes, boxer briefs for boys, girls shoes, you can see the sizes there, double strollers, not umbrella strollers, but need the full size strollers, many different areas of need. ministering to people. And friends, you may be watching tonight and just say, how can I get engaged? How can I be involved? And these are some of the immediate needs. Here's liquid hand soap, scent-free lotions, Vaseline, bed sheets, any size, shower curtains. These are all ways that people can, and even if a collection drive is held at a local church, that is something that's beneficial.
Jim, that was so kind of you to include that list for us. Always looking for, and if people go on the website, looking for volunteers, looking for in-kind donations like that, and people can, in a very impactful way, help us.
Okay. We're going to call from Sheboygan. Hi, Sandy, you're on the air.
Hi, Jim. Hi, Sarah. I promise you my prayers. This is so wonderful. And a question, I'm sorry, I don't understand. Do the fellows live in the building, in the new facility?
Yes.
And the second, where are they, when they come, are they all the way through the addiction process, or is that what they're coming to you for? To continue to grow with a broad basis program? That's just, I'm wondering.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think I understood Sandy's question. Yes, it's a residential program, so when the guys come, when they hear about the program, typically what happens is we'll get a call, and one of our counselors or staff might have a conversation with, could be a family member, could be the individual themselves that they're interested in the program. So we'll kind of describe it to them, and if it seems like it's going to make sense for us to have face-to-face, then they'll come down. We'll do an intake and interview. I mentioned, Jim, that we'll even do an initial background check right away and make sure that it's going to be, looks like it's going to be a good fit. Then the guys, if we both agree mutually, us and the prospective program member, then they'll join a program that we call candidacy. So that's a 4-week program. They have their own kind of dorm space in the building. We're working on all sorts of things with them. We're making sure that they're taking care of whatever they need to take care of to disengage, if it's a job, if they need to make some arrangements with family, if they have any outstanding legal or medical things that they need to take care of before they're going to be able to come on the program. And then for that 4 weeks, they're taking a look at us and we're taking a look at them. And then when they successfully complete the 4 weeks, then they're joining the program in residence. So then they're living in the building, they're going to classes, they're participating in self-study, they're part of chapel services and all of these things while they're there for 6 months.
It's a full program.
It's a full program.
And we're going to have to wrap it up there.
Okay.
But Pat, we appreciate you coming on and sharing about this. You're open to take questions from the public concerning this.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
And we'd encourage those who have objections raised that we haven't enumerated here tonight, reach out to the mission. And there is a point of contact of the mission. Again, you have a Milwaukee Rescue Mission, 830 North 19th Street, Milwaukee 53233. Their website, millmission.org. The phone number, 414-344-2211. And email address is info@millmission.org. That's info@millmission.org. And Pat, again, thank you for coming and sharing the work and ministry of the Rescue Mission.
I'm so grateful to you, and we're just so grateful for a chance to talk about the mission, and then especially talk about New Journey. So thanks for having us. Yeah.
And friends, we encourage you, if you have further questions, reach out to the mission, and they'll be glad to address those as well. But pray for the mission. They are indeed ministering to the hungry, the homeless. Scripture says, if you've done it unto the least of these, my brethren, you've done it unto me. God bless you, friends. Thanks for joining us here tonight on TV 30's inFocus. Good night.